So do you want to make some money? Because if you're a real estate agent or you're a wannabe real estate investor or somebody trying to get into it, I have a challenge for you. Bring me a deal. I've just gone ahead and sold some of my properties that I had out in Texas, and I also got bought out of a company that I was an angel investor in at the onset. And so I'm wanting to take some of those funds and continue to employ it in the actual real estate market. What I've done right now, I'm gonna go over kind of a deal I'm actually doing live right now in San Diego with a good buddy of mine, Kelly Gilson, who brought me this deal. And he's getting paid handsomely for it. And I wanna have the same challenge for you. So real estate agents, if you have a deal of a property that you can think meets one of kind of two factors. The first factor being a property that needs some work. Call it, up to maybe $100,000 worth of work, that you do the calculation on it and you think that once that work has been done, there's a decent profit in that property, and I'll walk you through one that I'm gonna be doing now, then I want you to bring me that deal. Feel free to email me that deal. It doesn't really matter if it's a good deal in a decent state. Let's start with anywhere between a property between about $300,000 and $800,000. That's kind of going to be my sweet spot. If you think you got a great deal or maybe a pocket listing out there or somewhere, bring it to me. And like I said, I'll not only evaluate that deal, but if I like that deal, I'll do that deal and you get to make money off of it. Now, if you're not a real estate agent and you're just somebody that wants to hustle and make some extra money, I'm going to teach you something called wholesaling. What wholesaling is in a nutshell is you find a property and you get that property under contract. Meaning you have a home on your street, say it's down in San Diego, you like the neighborhood, you see it being up and coming like this one in Claremont I'm doing, go meet with that seller, see if you can't get them or turn them into a seller and see if you can't get them to agree to an actual purchase price on that property. And if you can agree to get that property under contract, you can do what's called wholesaling, which is basically you assign that contract to somebody like myself and I pay you a legal commission on it. So it's called a wholesaling way. So it's a way with no money out of your pocket that you're able to get a property under contract and then assign that contract to an investor like myself that's gonna go ahead and close it. So let me kind of walk you through a wholesale dealing I'm doing right now with my buddy Kelly Gilson, who did the exact same thing on a property down in Claremont, San Diego. So this property, it's 2850 Wyandotte. It's there in Claremont in San Diego. We bought this property for $665,000. It's under contract right now. Needed a lot of work, but it had a couple intangibles. You always want an intangible on a property. And this intangible was, it had a really big lot, over a 1/4 acre lot, and it was facing west where I could put an ADU in the back of the property. Something that's pretty rare in Claremont. Have by far, in my opinion, probably the best lot in Claremont and San Diego area. To bring this property up, and it was an ugly property, I'm not gonna lie. To bring this property up, it's gonna take me about $105,000 bucks. So I got $105,000. Now, obviously I paid cash for this property, so my holding costs are not any money, but it's always important to understand your necessarily holding costs. So I know between my purchase cost and my rehab costs, I'm roughly about $770,000 into this property. Now, what I need to officially kind of also understand, closing costs and those types of things, and any other little reserves that are gonna come up. So let's say my closing cost, closing that was about $5,000. I'm gonna say it's about $10,000 total, just for a couple other little things that could potentially kind of come up. Insurance I need to carry, property taxes I need to carry on it during this short-term flip. So I'm into this property, let's say about $780,000. Now, this property, what I'm gonna go ahead and do on it is I'm now gotten this property, got it all renovated, got it all dialed in. Now I'm gonna look to evaluate it. Does it make more sense for me to sell it? Or does it make more sense for me to hold it as a long-term rental? Because what I can do if I want to do this as a long-term rental is I say, okay, what would this property rent for on the open market? That rent on that property is going to rent, believe it or not, for about $5,500 a month, okay? The value of this home, when I'm all said and done, because the market's so crazy, is actually worth about $930,000. So I got to say to myself, what should I do? Should I hold this property and rent it out? Or should I go ahead and flip this property? What Kelly Gilson did is he did one step further. So he found me this property, he bought this property. So not only as a real estate agent is he gonna make the commission on obviously bringing in the buyer and obviously representing the seller. So he made a nice little commission there, but also too on the property, because he found me this property, I'm going to be giving him an actual kind of finder's fee on that property itself because he brought me a great deal. So he's gonna get out and make a nice, handsome kind of commission on that deal for bringing me this as a real estate agent. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is then I evaluate it and say, which route do I want to go? And in upcoming videos, once this house is done, I'm going to show you the house, show it's completed, and I'll let you know my decision and let you know which way I want to go. But if you think you have a property that can fit the bill, and at the end of the day, I'm typically always wanting to look to make sure I'm making, depending on the length of the flip, anywhere between about 10 and 15% on my money once all is said and done, after I sell realtor fees and all of that. So just to kind of give you an example on here, let's say I'm able to sell this for $930,000. Say when I sell that property, it's going to cost me about 5% in realtor commissions plus closing costs, so let's call it about $55,000. So that means at the end of the day, once I pay that $55,000, I'm going to be about $885,000 in total proceeds. So I basically, at the end of the day, made about $100,000 doing that flip, $100,000 on total out of $780,000. If I annualized, obviously, that return, because this from start to finish is only going to take me about 3 months. So every flip I like to do, I like to make sure I'm making 10%, not annualized, but 10% on that flip as a minimum, which means I needed to hit 78%. This one, likely hit about 100 grand. It's a beautiful deal. And thank you, Kelly, for bringing it to me. Now, if you think you have a deal, an ugly house in your neighborhood or something like that here, bring it to me. I'm happy to look at it. And if I like that deal, you'll get your wholesaling fee. And if you're an agent, bring me a deal that you think you have that makes sense, and make sure that can actually defend that deal. And I would love the chance to actually go ahead and kind of walk you through the details on how I figure these out in my mind. And I hope we get to work together. Let's make some money.